All right, welcome back. Here we go with track 3. This is Only Halfway to Everywhere by the Black Crowes off a 1996 album, Three Snakes and One Charm. Sean, you brought us this. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's where it starts. It's with the album art, Three Snakes and One Charm. When this came out, I thought it was pretty clever the way they sort of had the take on that little 45 plastic insert that you'd put on a record player to play your 45s and sort of adapted it into Three Snakes. I've considered songs from this album for previous episodes, and so never quite make the cut. But once this theme was set, this was an obvious one for me. Georgia Band, 1996 record. So it was also in consideration for that 1996 episode as well. But then it's just like our Stone Soup logo as well. This is the 45 insert adapted to sort of make snake heads out of it, and ours is adapted to sort of make spoons as in the Stone Soup logo. So I had some fun seeing the similarities there, and I just thought, yeah, I want to do this a song from this album. So I enjoyed going back through and was reminded of how there are 10 or 11 really, really good songs on this album. And this band was kind of an unapologetically in your face, be loud, jump around, kind of be, overtly, just kind of rambunctious. They were pretty open about drug use and all kinds of things. And so these guys I thought were some of the ones that were really laying down some of the best music around this time. I bounced around a little bit on a couple of different songs, but I landed on this one, and I think it has a lot to do with the time signature. It is, some web sources say that it's 6/4 with 4/4 and 2/4 measures. The way I count it in my head is that it's 8/8 with some 2/8 and 4/8 spots. But it happens fast, so it's sort of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then in the verses it's syncopated, in the chorus it's not. I mean, it's all over the place. Not all over the place, that's the wrong way to say it. It is a complex song to where you got to be switched on mentally if you're going to play this. I think my favorite part is when they're coming out of the chorus and they add a couple measures in where he says, "And I'm only," and then it continues halfway to everywhere. It like drops down a key, it almost seems like, and then they get well into the pocket as they jam through this thing. A little bit kind of like the Mother Hips, where in some measures the band is so tight where they slow down the tempo and then they drag it back up. So artful. And this song, I mean, I don't know how many days it's been since we picked the last theme, but I have probably listened to this song 100 times, maybe 200 times in the last 3 weeks, just trying to pick apart the time signature, trying to play it, like air drums with my hands on my lap and stuff. It's so much fun. And then it's got all these interesting extra pieces like the horns, the backup singers, even like the funny voices. There's kind of a whoa, 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 person in the background that's saying some stuff. It's really funny. It's just an absolute romp, and they wail on this track. And so, the big reason why it's on is the album name and album art. But I'm so happy to bring this track forward. It's a romp. It's like a burn down the house. We're gonna let it fly. And so I thought it was worth sharing with you guys here. So Georgia, where the band's from, is near where you're from, Brett. So I want to see what you think.
Cool. Yeah, Black Crowes definitely bring it, and this song does not sell them short. In fact, it feels like all of the best of who they are is brought into a single track. All the gospel and the horns, like you mentioned, it's so soulful. I did notice the album art. It is interesting that it's black and white, and just how I think when I saw it, I just saw our logo and didn't think too much about it until this morning when I couldn't sleep and was up thinking about snakes, and then was going through each track and noticed, oh, this album, the entire album is called Three Snakes and One Charm. So yeah, really, really clever. They've got incredible lyrics and great songsmanship. Chris Robinson is 1966, which was Fire Horse, so not a snake himself. Though again, there are many members of the band. I just focused on the front guy because time. But yeah, love the track. Love the track. I thought this was an excellent pick of the album because I did spin the entire album today, and when this one came on, I was like, oh yeah. Some of it was familiarity bias, but I think some of it was just like the quality of this particular song. I love that Only is in parentheses. Also, it's a nod to Only, but I think that there's a halfway to everywhere is where we always are. Grant, what about you?
That's a new T-shirt right there. Halfway to everywhere is where we all are, or something like that you just said.
Yeah.
That's a great one. First off, shout out to Richie Brevere, who drew our Stone Soup logo. I don't know. I'll have to ask Richie, who now lives a block away from us here in Minnesota. They moved from Tucson. Happy to have him down the street with the family. I'll have to ask him if he knew about this album cover when he got the inspiration for the Stone Soup logo. And yeah, that was the first thing I jumped. I was like, hey, that's our logo. Oh, wait, let me ask Richie that. I love that it's brothers. I think it's always cool to have bands with brothers. This is kind of what we do creatively, and to think about what the Black Crowes have done for so long. One of the things that I did read about personality traits for people born in the year of the snake is resilience. And man, talk about a long discography of years and years of resilience and creating together, despite all the maybe tops and the turns that maybe the band has taken over the years. So yeah, I love the track. It does seem like, Sean, like you mentioned, I'm glad that you went right to the time signatures, because it does seem like they go to kind of skipping some beats sometimes, kind of taking like a little bit of like a jazz influence. Like it's okay to like skip something or add something in there. And then it seemed like it's like Charlie Brown's teacher somewhere being like, wah, 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 like throughout the song too, which I thought was always fun. You don't get enough of that in there. So like the creativity, the willing to kind of keep it loose and jam. It was happy to have it. And I will say, I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a sine wave with the playlist. So I wanted some of that energy brought up front too, like Saturn and Will Johnson kind of ease us in. And then like the Black Crowes are just like punch in the gut. Here you go. And I loved that. So I like to kind of shake it up a little bit in a Stone Soup kind of way. Brett, you mentioned Chris Robinson is a horse. I am also a horse. I am Earth Horse. So I feel that kinship that I was not aware of. So thanks for bringing that element into today's episode.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a 1996 album, which harkens back to our episode 24, 1996. Sean, you got anything else to say on the album or the Black Crowes or Halfway to Everywhere? Only
one last thing, which is that I like that the Halfway to Everywhere, I felt like it fit well with the theme of the snake, with transformation and journey, and trying to figure out the next moves. Not that you necessarily ever get where you're going necessarily because of the journey, but I liked that introspective nature of it. And the lyrics are really good on this song. It's worth taking a look at. It's a bit of like a screamer. There's a lot of times where like kind of gospel, in a gospel way, he's just like screaming. And so sometimes I think it's hard to know what some of the lyrics are, but it's actually a pretty good little poem to go and take a look at these. I think it's a really clever song, much more clever than I had ever realized. And I think looking back to the, last, 20 years plus of looking at or listening to the song, I don't think I really ever knew what some of those verses were. I geeked out on the time signature so much that was enough to hold me in all the time. So I really appreciate the deep work of this project to go in and take a look at that song more closely and learn a little bit more what it means and all that. So I'm glad to hear your reaction to it. And I'm kind of ready to give it a spin for the 253rd time in the last month.
Awesome. Well, it's a great pick. And I do love that our own project is having us do a little bit of introspection on the song and what it means to ourselves. That's definitely a very snake attribute to be looking like that. So here we go with Only Halfway to Everywhere, the Black Crowes off of their 1996 Three Snakes and One Charm.